They say the deepest prisons aren't made of stone, but of silence and trust. For years, I believed my life was perfectly aligned, stable, predictable. My name is Liam, and at 32, I thought I had everything. A solid career, a beautiful apartment, and Chloe, the kind of woman who made life feel warm and effortless. But symmetry has a way of lying to you. The most symmetrical part of my life was Noah, my mirror, my twin. Where I built order, he breathed chaos. A brilliant artist, but always one mistake away from collapsing. He understood my silence, and I spent years picking up his broken pieces. My relationship with Chloe, it was my masterpiece. She loved my calm. I admired her grace. Together, we looked perfect. And Noah? Noah was the smudge on the canvas, the flaw I pretended made the picture more authentic. They tolerated each other only because of me. But I never questioned anything. A life built on trust, a future built on order. Symmetry only works until something shifts. The first fracture was barely visible. So subtle, I convinced myself it was nothing. But looking back, that was the warning I refused to hear. We were choosing the final artwork for the living room when Chloe mentioned an obscure technique, one only Noah specialized in. When I asked how she knew, she brushed it off. "Oh, I must have overheard you and Noah arguing about it last month." There was no such argument, and her answer felt rehearsed. Then the small things started to add up. The laughter that stopped when I walked in, the inside jokes, the way they slipped into a rhythm that pushed me further out of my own story. 2 weeks before the ceremony, Noah announced a solo retreat to a remote cabin. Chloe seemed almost relieved. That Friday, she said she'd be working late, but something inside me demanded proof. I called the office. She'd left an hour earlier. I checked Noah's social media. His last check-in? A remote trail, just 30 miles from the cabin she claimed was booked. I wasn't just losing my fiancé or my twin. I was losing my mind, one quiet, calculated lie at a time. The storm wasn't outside the house. It was in the walls, growing louder every day. And I'm the one who let it in. The time for doubt was over. Whatever part of me that had begged for explanations, for mercy, for coincidence, was finally silenced. Grief didn't disappear. It was suspended, locked away, placed somewhere it could no longer interfere. The architect in me took over. I didn't need answers from them anymore. I needed proof. Not for the world, not for confrontation, for the court of my own mind. Facts that could not be argued with. Facts that wouldn't bend under emotion or memory. I stripped everything down to its load-bearing structures and asked myself a single question. If this were a lie of this magnitude, where would it fail? Noah was a creature of habit. Chloe was meticulous, almost obsessive with organization. That combination was fatal. They could improvise emotions. They could rehearse excuses. They could even fake affection. But they could not sustain a deception that spanned months without leaving traces. Residue, hairline fractures. I began where lies always stumble. Logistics. First, the car. Chloe said she was taking a train, a digital detox. No car, no distractions, just solitude and clarity. The phrasing felt rehearsed. Words are cheap, machines are not. When I checked the wheel well of her car, I almost missed it. Almost. A fragment no larger than a fingernail, metallic green. Ben's truck. The train was a lie. Next, the money. Chloe was careful with finances, predictable, and predictability leaves patterns. Her banking app didn't scream guilt, but buried deep, a recurring transfer, same amount, same date, 3 months in a row. Not a hotel, a private rental service. Remote, discreet, off the grid. A cabin. Not spontaneous, planned, rehearsed. By then, my hands were steady, my pulse low. I wasn't angry. Anger requires uncertainty. I was past that. The final blow came from memory. The old family photo album. Smiles from before Betrayal had a name. That's where I found it. A reservation slip, hidden behind a photo of Noah and me as kids. The Pine Ridge cabin, reserved 3 months ago. That was when something inside me hardened. Chloe hadn't joined Ben. She had planned with him, used my trust as camouflage. This wasn't a mistake. It was a project, a rehearsal for my destruction. I had the facts, I had the location, and I had the perfect weapon. Their own lies. I called Chloe. I told her I missed her, that the house felt wrong without her, that I was driving to her office just to surprise her. The pause lasted too long. Panic doesn't always sound like panic. Sometimes it sounds like someone breathing quietly in a collapsing room. I told her I was already on my way. I told her it would be romantic. The silence that followed wasn't Chloe. It was my life breaking. I ended the call. The hunt was over. For the first time, I felt calm, cold, focused, absolute. The drive to the cabin felt endless. Each mile was another nail driven into the coffin of my past. The rain started somewhere along the highway, cold, persistent. Not a storm, just a steady drizzle that refused to stop. It matched what was happening inside me. I wasn't panicking. My heart wasn't breaking. It was hardening. I saw the truck first. Noah's. Parked carelessly. Crooked. Like whoever left it hadn't expected consequences. Then the cabin. Small. Rustic. Almost harmless. A facade hiding something monstrous. I didn't knock. I pushed the door open. The sound carried through the cabin, wood against wood, sharp and final. They were there. Chloe turned first. The cup slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. Noah froze. His face locked in an expression I had never seen before. Guilt. The air between us crackled. I didn't shout. I didn't need to. My voice came out low, precise. Chloe, the train to your digital detox must have been delayed or rerouted to this cabin with my brother.
Liam, it's not what you think.
Noah cut her off. Please, let me explain. Explain. Explain months of rehearsed lies. Explain shattered trust. Explain the deliberate destruction of my family. I laughed. The sound didn't feel like it belonged to me. There's nothing to explain, Noah. The Pine Ridge cabin reservation, 3 months ago. Chloe's recurring transfers. The paint on your truck. The story wrote itself. Chloe started crying. But it felt performative, a last attempt to save something that was already ash. Noah couldn't look at me. His eyes stayed fixed on the floor. I looked at them. 2 people I had loved more than anyone. This isn't just about Chloe. It's about us. Our symmetry. You shattered it. Both of you. I turned to Chloe. It's over. Then to Noah. And you? You're not my brother anymore. You're just a stranger. I closed the door. The sound echoed once, then nothing. I left them there, in the silence, with the wreckage of their own deceit. They say the calm after the storm is the most profound silence. For a while, I believed that. The world didn't stop. The world didn't end. Chloe was gone. Noah was gone. And on the surface, the war appeared to be over. I moved through my days with a strange, disciplined numbness. Not healing, but containment. Grief didn't explode anymore. It hardened. I told myself that meant I was safe. I had lost the 2 people closest to me. And in exchange, I told myself I had gained freedom. But freedom, I would learn, can feel a lot like waiting. The hardest part wasn't losing Chloe. It wasn't even the betrayal. It was the silence that followed. People looked at me differently, as if choosing truth over forgiveness made me unpredictable. As if refusing to pretend made me the unstable one. That's when I understood something quietly disturbing. The most dangerous conflicts are the ones everyone believes are already over. Noah reached out eventually. His messages were careful, polite. Apologies shaped like explanations. Regret engineered to sound reasonable. I didn't respond. Not because I hated him, but because something in his words felt unfinished. Some distances aren't about anger. They're about instinct. I realized I had to mourn 2 losses: the partner I loved and the brother I believed existed. And I told myself that accepting this was the end of it. I was wrong. This journey taught me something I should have learned sooner. The most dangerous warning sign isn't a loud argument, but a calm that arrives too quickly. The question is never whether betrayal hurts. It's whether we recognize when it's finished speaking, or merely waiting for the right moment to act. Inner symmetry is fragile, and sometimes what breaks it isn't violence, but trust returning too soon. My life felt asymmetrical, quiet, unresolved. And for the first time, I mistook silence for safety. I didn't know then that some endings don't come as storms. They come as invitations. Noah asked to meet me a week after my last unanswered message. Not at home, not in public. He chose a place from our childhood, a cliff overlooking the old valley, where the road ended and the land simply stopped. Just to talk, he wrote. No explanations, no pressure. I owe you that much. I told myself I was going for closure, but something quieter inside me whispered a different reason. I wanted to see his face one last time, to confirm that the brother I lost was truly gone. The wind was strong up there, cold, constant. It carried the smell of wet stone and pine. Noah stood near the edge, hands in his jacket pockets, staring outward. He looked thinner, older, like a man who hadn't slept well since learning how far he'd already gone. "Liam," he said, without turning. His voice sounded normal, and that unsettled me more than anything else. "I won't ask why," I said. "I won't ask how long. I'm not here for answers." He nodded slowly. "I know." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence between us wasn't hostile. It was tired. "I didn't plan for things to go this far," Noah said finally. "That's the part people never believe." I let out a quiet breath. People believe whatever helps them sleep. He turned to face me then. His eyes weren't angry. They weren't even defensive. They were calculating. "I tried to fix it," he continued. "After you left, after everything blew up, I thought time would smooth it over." I shook my head. Time doesn't fix betrayal. It just teaches it to wait. Something flickered across his face. Not guilt, fear. "You were supposed to move on," he said. "Disappear. Start over somewhere else." "And you?" I asked. His jaw tightened. "I don't get that luxury." That's when I understood. This wasn't about Chloe. This wasn't about love or jealousy or regret. It was about exposure. As long as I existed, as long as I was alive, remembering, the truth was unfinished. "You're afraid," I said quietly. Not of what you did, of what I represent. Noah didn't deny it. I can't rebuild my life, he said, with you standing somewhere behind me, knowing, watching. I took a step back, not toward the cliff, but away from him. You already lost me, I said. Whatever peace you're looking for won't be built on this. For a moment, something human surfaced in his eyes, almost enough to stop him. Almost. The wind surged. Noah stepped closer. Not aggressively, not suddenly. Just close enough. I really am sorry, he said. And then his hand moved. Not a shove fueled by rage, but a deliberate push. Measured. Final. The ground vanished beneath my feet. There was no scream, no dramatic flailing, just the sudden understanding that gravity doesn't negotiate. As I fell, the world didn't blur. It sharpened. Sky above, rock below, wind tearing the air from my lungs. And in that suspended moment, one thought crystallized with terrifying clarity. He chose himself. The cliff rushed upward. Pain bloomed. And then, everything broke. Darkness came first. Not the gentle kind. The violent kind. Thick, crushing, absolute. Pain followed. Not sharp anymore, but remembered. Like an echo embedded in my bones. Like my body still believed it was falling. I couldn't move, but I could feel. And that alone terrified me. I was certain of one thing. I should be dead. The math was simple. Height, velocity, impact. There was no margin for survival. And yet, awareness remained. This doesn't make sense. The thought arrived clean, intact, logical, structured, human, which raised a far more unsettling question. If I'm thinking this clearly, then where am I? The darkness shifted, not visually, but spatially, as if the void itself had depth. I searched for reference points. Up, down, pressure, gravity. Nothing aligned. Am I alive? The idea felt wrong. I had felt the fall, felt the break, felt the end. Then is this death? I tested the theories. Heaven? No warmth, no peace. Hell? No fire, no punishment. A place in between? That possibility disturbed me more than either extreme. Then, a sound. Faint, distorted. Not inside my head, outside. A voice. Wake. My mind reacted instantly. Auditory stimulus, external source, which meant this isn't a dream. Fear didn't rush in. Confusion did. Pure, surgical. My body felt wrong. Not damaged, not broken. Wrong in the way something rebuilt feels wrong. when the structure is sound, but unfamiliar. This body feels intact. That realization hit harder than pain ever had. The voice came again, closer now. Hey. Instinct took over. Not panic, not surrender. Caution. I opened my eyes slowly, as if sudden movement might shatter whatever fragile reality I was inside. Light stabbed in. Green first, then brown, then sky. Trees too tall, too dense, a forest. And leaning over me, a woman. She wasn't human. That was the first thing my mind cataloged. Her face was delicate yet precise. High cheekbones, a narrow jaw, skin pale like porcelain touched by moonlight. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, silver, almost colorless, like light caught in still water. Too clear, too aware. And then I noticed her ears, long, tapered. There was no mistaking them. She spoke again, her voice steady, not warm, not cold, precise. She told me to wake up. 2 words, like she had been waiting long enough and had decided the waiting was finished. In that moment, something inside me tightened. It wasn't excitement. It was confusion and fear. Because my mind searched for something familiar, anything, and found nothing. Biology offered no answer. Evolution collapsed under its own logic. Probability simply gave up. None of it applied. None of it explained what I was seeing. That was when I understood. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't hallucinating. And the woman leaning over me, watching me with those silver eyes that gave nothing away, she was an elf. When awareness returned, it was a forest. A forest that felt wrong. Not unfamiliar by name, but unfamiliar by instinct. I had never seen this forest before. Not on a screen, not in any book I had read. The shapes were wrong. The silence behaved differently. Even the air felt undecided. More unsettling than that, I was still alive. Despite knowing with absolute clarity that I had fallen from a cliff behind the cabin. My head. It feels like something inside me shifted. Not cracked, shifted. Like a fault line finally gave up pretending it was stable. I opened my eyes expecting pain. Concrete, rain, blood. Instead, I was looking at a woman. She was close. Too close. Beautiful, yes, but not in a comforting way. Sharp, precise. Like a blade polished until it reflects your fear back at you. Then I saw her ears. Long, tapered. They moved, subtly, tilting toward the wind as if sound itself was a language she understood better than I ever could. My first thought wasn't wonder. It was denial. A prank. Cosplay. Some hallucination my brain cooked up while dying. So I did the only thing that still made sense. I pinched my arm, hard. The pain didn't bloom. It bit. Clean. Immediate. Real. I looked up. Not for answers, for rules, for something familiar. But the sky had 2 moons. Not poetic, not mystical, just wrong. Hanging there like pale, unblinking eyes, The sun was distant, smaller than it should be, casting shadows that bent at angles my mind refused to accept. The ground beneath me was red, iron-rich, almost like Mars. But the air smelled alive. Sweet lilies tangled with decay, growth and rot occupying the same breath.
I'm an architect. I don't believe in miracles. I believe in load-bearing structures, in cause and effect, in gravity behaving the same way it did yesterday. But then I saw it. A creature took off from a nearby branch. Its wingspan was small, pigeon-sized, but the skin, leathery, stretched thin over bone like something dragged out of prehistory. It screamed, not like an animal, like metal being twisted apart. And it dove into a forest where the trees pulsed, visibly with translucent veins, as if sap carried something more than life.
I tried to name it, label it, file it somewhere safe in my mind. I failed. This isn't a dream. This isn't death. And this isn't Earth. The system I trusted, logic, reason, physics, has collapsed. The world I knew didn't end loudly. It simply stopped applying. I am not lost. I am elsewhere. The elf didn't reach for me. She didn't offer a hand. She watched. Not like a woman assessing a stranger, but like a predator deciding whether something is worth killing now or later. She rose to her feet, fluid and silent. Her boots barely disturbed the red soil. Leather armor, worn but meticulously maintained. No ornament, no softness, only function. Her hand never strayed far from the blade at her hip. "Faelwyn," she said at last. She said her name slowly, each syllable precise, carrying an age I couldn't place. Faelwyn Elrahil. She didn't ask my name. Of course she didn't. Her eyes, silver, almost colorless, never stopped moving. They tracked the forest, the brush, the space behind me, as if whatever danger I imagined was already late. "We need to move," she said. Not a suggestion, not a request, a statement. Answers could come later, she told me, in a place called Oakhaven. Not her home, not a capital. A trading city, neutral ground. A place where beings like me, outworlders, were sometimes tolerated. She didn't explain what happened to the ones who weren't. As we walked, I tried to ground myself. I asked where we were. She gave me a name I couldn't pronounce. I asked what land this was. She gave me a word that meant nothing in any language I knew. I asked what year it was. She told me the date, not in any system I recognized. Measured in cycles, recorded under the Ascension era, the year of the Third Concord. She didn't explain what the Concord was. She didn't translate the names. She didn't need to. That was when it settled in. This wasn't another country. This wasn't another culture. I wasn't displaced. I was removed. Something inside me began to fracture. I didn't see beauty. I didn't notice the bioluminescent moss crawling up ancient roots. I didn't care about the spiral-shaped flowers folding in on themselves as we passed, as if the forest disliked being observed. I saw stress points, the way trees leaned, not randomly, but to counterbalance the uneven pull of two moons. The subtle sink of my boots where the soil was structurally weak. The places where the ground would give way if enough weight or panic was applied. I could feel the integrity of the land beneath me, as if the world had become a structure, and my mind was drafting blueprints just to stay sane. It was too much, too fast, data without permission. I wasn't learning this world, I was reading it. Phaelwyn stopped suddenly. She raised a single finger. Everything froze. The forest fell silent. Not peaceful, strategic. Even the wind seemed to hesitate. That's when I understood. She wasn't guiding me. She was escorting a liability. And whatever lived in these woods knew exactly what I was. The danger didn't announce itself. There was no roar, no sudden charge, just a shift, subtle enough that my body noticed it before my mind did. The ground changed texture beneath my feet, softer, saturated. My white sneakers slid forward a few centimeters, not enough to fall, but enough to break rhythm. My heart reacted before fear did. A misstep here wouldn't just mean pain, it would mean sound. Phaelwyn stopped instantly. She didn't look back. She didn't have to. One hand rose slowly, palm down. A silent instruction. Lower your weight, slow your breath. Her other hand rested on the hilt of her blade. That's when I heard it. Not footsteps. Breathing. Low. Wet. Too close to the ground to belong to anything upright. It came from the underbrush to our left, where the trees bent inward unnaturally, their translucent veins pulsing faster, as if the forest itself was trying to warn us. My mind searched for patterns. Predator. Ambush hunter. Territorial. I crouched without thinking, my black field jacket brushing against bark. The fabric held, but I felt how thin it truly was. Urban protection. Psychological armor. Nothing more. The creature emerged halfway. I never saw its full shape. Only pieces that didn't belong together. A hunched mass of muscle, limbs jointed wrong. A head tilted sideways as it listened, tasting the air with something that wasn't a tongue. It froze. So did I. For a fraction of a second, we evaluated each other. Then it lunged. Phaelwyn moved like this had already happened 1,000 times. Steel flashed. Her blade cut not to kill, but to redirect. She shouted something sharp in a language I didn't understand, her voice slicing through the forest's false calm. I stumbled backward. My heel caught in loose soil. I fell hard. The impact drove the air from my lungs, pain, real and familiar. And with it, something worse. Wind screaming past my ears, the weightless drop. The moment my brother's hands let go, my vision narrowed. The creature turned toward me. Time slowed, not dramatically, but mechanically. Crisis mode, no emotion, only structure. I saw the ground, the way the roots twisted, the hollowed soil beneath them, the angle of the creature's charge, and where its weight would shift. I didn't think. I moved. I threw myself sideways. The creature missed me by inches and collapsed instead. The ground gave way exactly where it should have. Roots snapped. Earth swallowed part of its mass, trapping it long enough. Long enough for Phelan to end it with a single, precise strike. Silence returned. Not relief, assessment. Phelan stood over the body, then looked at me, for the first time, with something new in her eyes. Not respect, concern. "You saw it," she said, not a question. I pushed myself upright. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from realization. "I didn't," I said. "I calculated it." The forest seemed to lean closer, and somewhere deep inside me, something clicked into place. Not magic, not destiny, but a terrifying understanding. This world obeyed rules, different rules, and my mind was already learning how to break them. The forest didn't chase us. That was the lie I told myself when we finally stopped running. It didn't need to. It waited. My lungs burned, not from distance, but from panic. The kind that lingers, the kind that leaves your hands shaking long after the threat is withdrawn. I leaned against a fallen trunk. Its bark was warm, faintly pulsing. Not dead, not dormant, observing. Phelan stood a few steps away, upright, still. Her breathing had already slowed. Her hand never left the hilt of her blade. She didn't ask if I was hurt. She didn't offer reassurance, only evaluation. I looked down at myself. Black jacket, dust-stained. White shirt streaked with something dark, sap, maybe blood. I didn't stop long enough to decide. Jeans torn at the knee. White sneakers soaked through with mud that smelled metallic. Wrong. These clothes didn't belong here, and neither did I. Yet the forest had already tried to claim me. That creature, whatever it was, hadn't attacked blindly. It tested, circled, applied pressure, like a structure searching for a failure point. Not brute force, assessment. And the worst part, I had understood it. Not emotionally, structurally. When it moved, my mind hadn't screamed monster. It screamed load-bearing failure. That frightened me more than the creature ever could. Phelan finally spoke. "You survived." Not praise, not relief. A fact. Most don't. I laughed, short, dry. It came out wrong. Lucky me. Her eyes narrowed, not in anger, in recalculation. "You don't move like prey," she said. "But you don't move like a warrior either." I met her gaze. For the first time, really met it. What do I move like then? A pause, longer than before. A builder. The word sounded foreign in her mouth, as if it didn't belong in this forest. Somewhere far away, something called out. Low, resonant, patient. Not a cry, a marker. Phalwyn turned toward the sound. "We don't stay here." Her eyes never left the trees. "Whatever followed us knows your scent now." I forced myself upright. My legs still trembled. "Is it going to hunt me?" She looked back at me, just once. "No, it's going to learn you." Standing there, in clothes from a dead world, surrounded by a forest that thought in angles, pressure, and time, I understood something fundamental. I hadn't survived because I was strong. I survived because this world hadn't decided what I was yet. And that uncertainty was the most dangerous thing of all. We didn't speak after the fight. Not because there was nothing to say, but because saying anything too soon would have made it real. Phalwyn resumed walking first. No signal, no command, just movement. I followed. My body protested quietly, muscles tight, my knees still aching where I had hit the ground. Every step reminded me that survival wasn't clean. The forest shifted as we moved deeper, less hostile, but no less aware. I could feel it watching, not stalking, remembering. Phalwyn adjusted her pace, not slowing down for me, but no longer testing my ability to keep up. That difference mattered. She walked closer now, not beside me, but close enough that I noticed when her presence shifted. Once, when my footing slipped on damp soil, her hand moved, not to catch me, but to intercept anything that might have taken advantage of it. She didn't comment. Neither did I. Hours passed like that. The forest thinned, the ground hardened. The oppressive weight of the canopy lifted, replaced by open sky and a wind that smelled less like decay and more like stone. That's when I felt it. Not danger, structure. Old roads beneath the soil, buried foundations, infrastructure, leading somewhere that mattered. Phalwyn finally spoke. "Almost there." Just 2 words. She didn't look at me when she said them, but she didn't sound indifferent either. We reached Oakhaven at dusk. From the edge of the forest, the city looked like a promise. White stone catching the dying light. Golden arches standing with the confidence of something built to last centuries. It wasn't magical at first glance. It was engineered, deliberate, exact. That should have comforted me. It didn't. The gates opened without ceremony. No armored guards, no banners, just people moving with practiced routine. They were human. Not human-like. Human. Same tired eyes, same posture of people who had learned how to live inside systems older than themselves. The difference was their clothing. Long coats, layered fabrics, heavy boots worn smooth by time. It reminded me of old photographs. Early industrial era, progress without mercy. They noticed me. Not because of my face, but because of my clothes. Black jacket, white shirt, blue jeans, white sneakers stained by forest mud. I looked like a mistake in their timeline. Their stares weren't hostile. They were evaluative, as if deciding whether I was a curiosity or a liability. Phaelwyn walked half a step ahead of me. She didn't blend in. She didn't try to. Her presence drew attention differently. Quiet, restrained, tolerated. This wasn't her city. It was a place she was allowed to pass through. That's when we were received. Princess Alice, Duchess of Oakhaven. She wore no crown. She didn't need one. Her authority was built into the space around her. Her gaze settled on me. An outworlder. Not a question. Her eyes didn't look curious. They looked interested. You may rest here tonight. Food, shelter, a private room. Oakhaven does not abandon travelers. The words were kind. The delivery was not. And for the first time since the forest, I stepped into stone walls that felt more dangerous than teeth and claws. Oakhaven welcomed us, properly. Not with chains, not with suspicion, with warmth. The kind that settles around you before you realize you have stopped bracing yourself. We were led through halls of white stone, surfaces shaped to reflect light, not absorb it. The walls did not loom. They did not press inward. Everything followed human measure. The width of the doors, the rise of each step, the ceiling resting at a height that did not ask me to shrink. For the first time since I arrived in this world, my body felt accounted for. I did not feel oversized. I did not feel misplaced. That absence was quiet and unsettling. Princess Alice did not receive us on a throne. She sat at a long table already prepared, plates set, chairs pulled out, as if our arrival had been expected, not announced. She smiled when she saw us, not sharply, not with practiced courtesy. It was the expression of someone used to being listened to without asking for it. She spoke gently, asked if we were hurt, if the road had been difficult. Then she asked me my name. Nothing more. No title, no explanation, just my name. That alone mattered. Phaelwyn remained standing, near the wall, close to the exits. Her hood stayed up, her posture unchanged. Alice noticed, and chose not to acknowledge it. Her attention returned to me. Food arrived soon after. Not extravagant, not ceremonial, but abundant. Roasted meat, fresh bread, a stew thick with herbs I did not recognize, yet trusted without knowing why. Only after I began eating did I realize how hungry I had been. My hands stopped shaking. That frightened me more than the forest ever had. Alice spoke of Oakhaven while we ate. Its trade routes, its place as neutral ground. She did not mention politics. She did not mention war. Only responsibility. She spoke of leadership the way an engineer speaks of load, something you carry so others are not forced to. I did not trust her, but I did not feel threatened. And after everything I had lost, that was enough to let my guard lower. Just slightly. Dangerously. Phaelwyn watched the room. Alice watched me. She asked about my world, not its machines, not its systems, only whether there were people waiting for me there. I told her no. She nodded. She did not ask again. For a moment, it felt like speaking to someone who understood loss without demanding that it be explained. A human presence. In a world where even the trees still felt unfamiliar. When the meal ended, Alice arranged rooms without delay. Not as an afterthought, not as a courtesy, but as something already decided. Private, quiet. On the same corridor. The words settled gently in the air. Phalewin's gaze shifted toward me for only a moment when this was mentioned. Brief, measured, enough to be noticed. Alice noticed it as well. She did not comment. "You are safe here." She said it simply, without emphasis, without insistence, as if safety were not a promise, but a state that already existed. I wanted to believe her, more than I was willing to admit. As I was led away, the stone walls closing around me, not tightly, but with a careful kind of certainty, one thought followed close behind. Quiet, persistent. Maybe this world would not break me immediately. Maybe I had finally stepped into a place that was not yet deciding how to use me. The calm felt real. That was what made it dangerous. The corridors of Oakhaven grew quieter the deeper we walked. Not abandoned, maintained. Stone arches curved overhead, etched with old sigils worn smooth by time. Warm amber lights floated along the walls, soft, deliberate. Alice walked slightly ahead of me. Phalewin followed behind. She didn't look at me. Not once. The distance between us wasn't accidental. It was measured. Each time I slowed, Alice slowed with me. When I hesitated, she turned back. She smiled gently. "You've walked far today," she said. "Too far for someone who arrived in this world by accident." I did not correct her. At a fork in the corridor, Phalewin stopped. "This is where I leave you." Her eyes met mine. Only briefly. Not cold, not warm. "You'll be safe here." Then she turned away. Her footsteps retreated, softening with distance, until the corridor held only silence. Alice waited until the sound was gone. "She worries," she said quietly, "especially after today." She gestured ahead. "Come, your room is close." The stone beneath our steps changed here. Lighter, smoother. Old walls, restored with care rather than erased. She stopped before a tall white door. "This will be yours." She opened it. Warmth spilled outward. The room was not grand, but it was alive. A fire already burning. A wide bed beneath linen curtains. Shelves filled with real books. A desk placed carefully by the window. This was not a place meant to be passed through. It was a place designed to make someone stay. "I asked them to keep it simple," Alice said. "No symbols, no ceremony." She handed me a cup of water, using both hands. "You're safe here. Oakhaven does not harm its guests." "I'd like you to rest," she continued. "Sleep, read, write, She paused. Try not to wander before midday. The inner districts can be confusing. It was not a command. It was guidance. She turned to leave, then stopped. You don't have to understand everything tonight, Liam, she said. This world does not demand answers immediately. Her voice lowered. I know what it's like to wake somewhere unfamiliar and realize your old life is no longer within reach. I'll check on you later. Rest. The door closed softly behind her. I sat on the edge of the bed. The fire murmured. The city breathed beyond the window. For the first time since I arrived, my shoulders lowered. Not trust, but relief. If anyone could help me begin again in this world, it might be her. I lay back, letting the warmth draw me downward. Whatever this room had been prepared for now, it felt like sanctuary. Sleep came without permission. Not deep, not kind. Just enough for my body to stop resisting. I don't know how long I was gone. Long enough for the room to feel familiar. The bed no longer felt foreign. The walls no longer watched. Long enough to forget where I was. That was when the sensation reached me. Not a sound, a vibration. Low, steady, like something moving behind the walls. A hum, measured, intentional. Not alive, but active. Then I heard it. A click. Soft, deliberate. The lock on my door slid into place. From the outside. I did not rush the door. I already knew what I would find. White stone, seamless, reinforced. No hinges, no grain, no weakness. This room was not meant to hold people. It was meant to contain outcomes. The light dimmed, not extinguished, just lowered. A courtesy. The floor beneath me began to hum, rhythmic, measured, like pressure building inside a sealed chamber. Lines surfaced beneath the stone, thin, dark, veins spreading outward, pulsing, slow, like something waking up. I stepped back. That was when I felt it. Not a pull on my body, a pull on my breath. Each inhale felt counted, measured, allocated, as if the room was learning how much of me it could take. The door opened. Princess Alice stepped inside, alone. She looked relieved. I apologize, she said. This is the part people struggle with. I laughed once. You spoke to me like I was hope. For a moment, I almost trusted you. But all you ever needed was my body. You misunderstand, Alice replied. Your body is only the doorway. What we need is what arrived inside it. The veins brightened. The room began to lower, not falling, descending. White stone sliding past as the city opened beneath me. I saw the conduits, massive, ancient, pulsing with dark energy. It was not water, not steam. It screamed, not loudly, constantly. Lives compressed into flow, souls processed into output. My knees struck the floor. The pressure intensified. Not childhood, not warmth. The cabin, the cliff. My brother's hand on my shoulder. The shove. The moment weight disappeared. Understanding. Too late. Different world. Same architecture. You should be honored, Alice said. Few outworlders are compatible. The realization settled slowly. I looked at her. You built this city to consume people. She did not argue. She shook her head once, slowly, almost apologetically. To survive. The veins flared. Pain did not tear. It did not burn. It erased. I screamed, not from pain, from recognition. This was not death. This was repurposing. If I survive this, I will learn how this world builds its monsters, and I will become worse. The light vanished. The machine continued to feed. They thought they had sealed me in. Stone walls, reinforced geometry, pressure calculated to break the mind long before the body followed. This chamber was not designed to kill, not quickly. It was designed to convince. Convince me that resistance was inefficient. Convince me that surrender was rational. I lay there, barely conscious. The city reached inward, not from my flesh, from my weight, my history, my otherness. Each pulse of the core pressed against something inside me, trying to reduce me to material. And that was when I understood. This was not random. The pain had rhythm. The pressure followed vectors. Energy moved along paths that had been drawn, measured, and optimized. This was not cruelty. It was engineering. So I stopped fighting. Not because I accepted it, because I needed to see it. My breathing slowed. The panic did not vanish. It receded. Not into calm, but into focus. The part of me that once sketched structures in quiet moments began to wake. Cold. Precise. I saw it. Not with my eyes. With something deeper. The lines beneath the stone sharpened. Load-bearing elements revealed themselves, not as matter, but as intent. Stress points glimmered faintly, places where the city had been forced to adapt beyond what it was meant to be. They had patched this system too many times, replaced components, rerouted flow, integrity compromised for continuity. The core was not stable. It was desperate. They believed these walls were my tomb, but to me, they were blueprints. I could see the fracture points, not dozens, not hundreds, one. A single convergence, where every load, every channel, every lie Alice had built into this city leaned just slightly too hard. One brick, one decision, one mistake. I smiled, slowly, inevitably. You want me to fix your city, I whispered. You want me to become part of it. The city pulsed again, stronger, and something inside me answered. Not magic, memory. The knowledge of how structures fail when they are forced to carry more than they were ever designed to hold. I'm going to show you, I said softly, what happens when the foundation decides to fight back. The pressure cracked, not violently, precisely. A hairline fracture spread through the chamber, silent, almost beautiful. The city screamed, and for the first time since it was built, Oakhaven felt fear. The floor gave way, not slowly, not dramatically. It was simply no longer there. My body dropped. Stone, dust, darkness. I struck something hard. Pain spread across my ribs, my shoulder, my head. The impact stole the air from my lungs. The world spun. I tasted blood. For a moment, direction lost its meaning. Up, down, there was no difference. Sound reached me in fragments. Shouting. Not close, not far. Everywhere at once. Stone tearing itself apart. Metal strained beyond its limits. Something vast collapsing behind me. I did not understand what I had done. I did not understand where I was, only that the ground itself was no longer reliable. One certainty remained. I had to move. I forced myself upright. Pain resisted. My legs trembled, nearly failed, but fear was louder. Light flickered around me. The air thickened with dust and heat. Signals echoed through the structure. Voices called out names I did not recognize. This was not a room, not merely a chamber. Something central was breaking, and I was inside its collapse. There was no plan, no direction, only distance, away. I ran, not toward safety, not toward answers, just away. Stone gave way to soil. White towers thinned into smoke and memory. My legs burned. My lungs protested. Still, I did not stop. I did not know where I was going. I only understood one thing. If I stayed, I would disappear. A warm room, a gentle voice. A city that smiled while sharpening its teeth. A weak sound escaped me. Not joy, a laugh, almost hysterical. This world did not want heroes. It wanted parts. My vision blurred. The ground tilted beneath me. And then, my body decided before my mind could object. I fell. I do not know how far I made it. I do not know what I broke. But as the darkness closed in, one certainty remained. Oakhaven would not forget me. And someday, I would return, knowing why. Light reached me before sound did. Not harsh, not blinding, just present, warm against my eyelids. I opened my eyes slowly. The first thing I noticed was the ground. Not stone, not polished, uneven, soft, cold with moisture, leaves, soil. I inhaled carefully. My chest tightened. Not sharp pain, something deeper than that. Like something inside me had shifted, not cracked, shifted. I stayed still, waiting for something to happen. Nothing did. No voices, no footsteps, no hands pulling me upright. Only wind moving through leaves above me. Morning. The sun had already climbed, which meant no one had woken me. No one had dragged me away. No one had checked. I wasn't safe. I was just still alive. The forest around me was dense. Tall trees, thick undergrowth. Light filtered through in fractured patterns. Beyond them, the dark slope of a mountain rising silently. It was beautiful, and it felt nothing from me. I didn't know where I was. Didn't know which direction led anywhere. Didn't know if anyone would come. Strangely, I didn't panic. The fear had already burned itself out. What remained was quieter, heavier. The world continued without me. Birds moved somewhere above. Leaves shifted. Something small scurried through the brush and vanished. Whatever had happened to me last night had not mattered to this place. I tried to sit up. Pain answered immediately. My ribs protested. My shoulder lagged behind. My leg trembled under its own weight. Nothing broken, but nothing aligned either. I paused, not to brace myself, to think. My body felt wrong, like a structure after impact, still standing, but carrying weight it wasn't meant to. I adjusted my posture, shifted my center of gravity, redistributed pressure away from the points that screamed. Slowly, carefully. The pain didn't disappear, but it stopped escalating. That unsettled me. My body responded too well, as if it understood what I was asking of it. I didn't feel relief. I felt alert. Nearby, the ground wasn't entirely wild. A faint dirt path, stones placed with intention, not randomly. Old, weathered, abandoned. Someone had passed through here once. They hadn't stayed. As I rested there, breathing slowly, I felt it. Not a presence, not danger, just the sense that the silence around me was not entirely empty. I didn't look around, didn't call out. If someone was there, they were choosing not to be seen. So I sat back down, my back against a tree, breathing measured. Not because it was wise, not because it was safe, but because my body had reached its limit. And for now, that was enough. I stayed where I was, my back against the tree, breathing slow, letting the tremor in my legs settle on its own. The forest hadn't changed. Wind still moved through leaves. Light still fell in broken lines. Nothing felt urgent. That was why I noticed it. Not sound, movement. A shift in the pattern of stillness. Something stepped between the trees. Not rushing, not hiding, just there. I straightened slightly. Pain answered, dull, immediate. I didn't reach for anything, didn't stand. I watched. The figure stopped several steps away, far enough not to threaten, close enough to be intentional. An elf, tall, lean, travel-worn gear, practical, used, not ceremonial, not pristine. Failwin. For a moment, neither of us spoke. No dramatic pause, no tension snapping tight. Just two people measuring distance. "You're alive," she said. Her voice was calm, low, almost tired. I nodded once. I didn't trust my breath yet. She didn't come closer. Didn't look relieved. Didn't look disappointed. Just observant. "Oakhaven is in chaos," she continued, as if closing a gap that needed closing. "The structure you were in collapsed. Part of the inner district went with it." Her gaze stayed on me, present, not intrusive. Guards panicked. Orders contradicted each other. The city isn't safe right now. I said nothing. She shifted her weight, grounded, careful. "I went back to the ruins," she said. "I thought you might be trapped." A brief pause. "You weren't there." That told me enough. She hadn't come for answers. She had come for a body. "I was the one who brought you there," she said. Not an apology, a statement. "I believed Oakhaven was stable, controlled. I misjudged that." Her eyes flicked to my shoulder, to my stance, to my leg. She didn't comment. "I followed your route instead," she went on. "Not directly. You were hurt. You avoided steep ground. You rested when you could." She gestured lightly toward the faint path behind me. "Your steps dragged, then steadied. You adjusted your pace after the tree line." It wasn't magic, just attention. "I can see well at night," she added. "Tracks linger longer than people think, if you know what to look for." I let out a slow breath. Didn't argue. Didn't accuse. I didn't know what I felt yet. Failwin remained where she was. No offer of help. No promise of protection. Just presence. The forest filled the space between us. "You don't owe me anything," she said. "And I won't pretend this fixes what happened. But I won't walk away from a consequence I helped create." That landed heavier than an apology ever could. I shifted again, testing my balance. She noticed, didn't move, didn't ask, just filed it away. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Not awkward, not strained. Like two travelers standing at a fork, neither ready to claim the road out loud. Eventually, I exhaled. Not a decision. Acceptance of reality. Failwin didn't leave, and I didn't tell her to. When I finally pushed myself to my feet, slow, uneven, she turned, adjusting her pace without comment. Not leading, not following too closely, just walking in the same direction, for now. The forest eased as the morning passed, not by becoming safer, but by becoming familiar. The ground grew less uneven. The air warmed. Light filtered more generously between the branches. We walked, slow, measured. My body complained, but in ways I could predict now. Pain no longer surprised me. It announced itself early, giving me time to adjust. Failwyn noticed everything. Not my pain, but how I worked around it. She didn't ask why I chose certain paths. Didn't comment when I avoided loose stone or steep descents. She mirrored my choices when it mattered. That, more than anything, kept me upright. Eventually, we stopped near a shallow stream. Clear water, cold, moving steadily downhill. I knelt, bracing myself carefully, and washed the dried blood from my hands. Failwyn stood watch, not alert, not relaxed, present. "You move like you're still injured," she said. "I am." "You don't treat it like a weakness." I considered that. "It's a limit," I said, "not the same thing." She nodded once, understanding, not agreement. We rested longer than necessary. Not because we were safe, because neither of us was in a hurry to test what came next. Conversation came in fragments. Names, not stories. Directions, not destinations. I noticed how she positioned herself without thinking, always leaving a clear line of sight, always keeping space, never crowding. She noticed how I shifted my weight before standing, how I tested the ground with my heel before committing. Different instincts, compatible. At one point, she handed me a strip of dried food. I hesitated. She didn't push, just held it there. I took it. No ceremony, no debt implied. When we moved again, she didn't lead. She adjusted her stride to mine. A subtle thing, easy to miss, hard to fake. The forest remained quiet, almost kind. Almost. Neither of us said it out loud, but we both knew. This stretch of calm wasn't a gift. It was a pause. And pauses in unfamiliar worlds were rarely permanent. Night arrived without ceremony. One moment, the forest was merely dim. The next, shadows had weight. We didn't discuss it. Stopping was mutual. Failwyn chose a shallow recess between stone and root, sheltered from wind, hidden from most angles. She moved with familiarity, as if night was not a change, but a return. I lowered myself carefully, my back against a tree, letting the last of the light drain from the canopy above. Failwyn knelt and worked the fire, not with flint, not with careless sparks. She moved methodically, coaxing flame from prepared tinder, shielding it with her body until it caught. The fire stayed small, contained, disciplined. Its glow barely reached beyond the clearing. She set a small metal vessel above the embers, poured water from a skin, then added one thing. A single strip of plant matter, dark, twisted, dropped into the warming liquid. I watched. She did not comment. Soon, steam rose. Not sharp, not medicinal. Warm. She handed me the cup first. I hesitated, not because I thought it was poison, because trusting unfamiliar things had already cost me once. Phalewyn did not rush me, did not explain, did not insist. So I drank. The taste surprised me. Earthy, bitter at first, then warmth, like tea, like ginger, like something herbal I couldn't name but recognized anyway. It settled in my chest as I swallowed, loosening something that had stayed clenched since Oakhaven. "That's good," I said. She nodded. "It's meant to steady," she replied. "Not to please." She drank her own without comment. From her pack, she produced compact strips of dried food. Dense, unassuming. She offered one. I took it. It tasted like nothing, and yet, after a few bites, my stomach quieted. Not full, just resolved. I leaned back slightly, watching the fire breathe. "Your drink," I said after a while. "It uses one plant." "Yes, but it tastes layered." She looked at the cup. "Heat changes things." The answer lingered. The quiet settled without asking permission. Not empty, just shared. The fire had burned down to a disciplined glow, low, contained, never allowed to wander. Somewhere beyond it, the forest held its breath in the way living things do when nothing urgent demands attention. Liam broke the silence carefully. "If you don't mind," he said, "where are you from?" Phalewyn didn't answer right away. She adjusted the strap of her gear, eyes following the edge of the fire as it breathed, controlled, deliberate, never careless. "I'm from the forests around here," she said at last. Liam glanced up. "The forest? Not a city?" Her gaze shifted to him then. Not sharp, not offended, just direct. "Elves don't speak of their origins lightly," she said. The words weren't a warning, they were a fact. She held his look for a moment longer, long enough to make sure he understood it wasn't personal, then turned back to the fire. "I know you didn't mean anything by it," she added quietly. The fire cracked once, sending a brief scatter of embers into the dark. That was the end of it. She didn't close herself off. She didn't open the door either. But she had answered, as much as she intended to. Silence returned. Not empty, companionable. The forest at night felt closer. Sounds carried farther. Movements mattered more. "You didn't ask much before," Phalewyn said eventually. "I ask when it's useful." "And when it isn't?" I watch. A corner of her mouth lifted, barely. "That explains how you're still walking." The fire crackled softly. For one brief moment, the world felt small enough to manage. Contained by darkness, anchored by warmth. I almost believed it would last. Then, something changed. Not a sound, a pressure. The kind that made the ground feel heavier. Phalewyn's head lifted slightly. Not alert, curious. That hesitation was enough. The trees burst outward. A massive shape tore from the dark, moving far too fast for something that large. Branches snapped. The fire guttered as a wall of shadow crossed it. Phaelwyn turned, and the creature was already there. A single claw swept across her left side. Leather tore, flesh opened, blood arced through the firelight, dark and sudden. The impact threw her hard into the ground. The sound she made was not a scream, just air forced violently from her lungs. The fire flared. For an instant I saw it clearly. A bear-shaped thing, but wrong. Its body was too dense, packed with muscle beneath fur that wasn't fur at all, but stiff, needle-hard strands that caught the light like iron filings. Its claws were grotesquely long, curved and narrow, built to hook and pull, not crush. When it lifted its head, its eyes caught the flames. Red, not glowing, watching. Phaelwyn rolled, instinct fighting pain. One arm clamped tight against her chest. Blood spilled between her fingers. Too much, too fast. The wound gaped beneath her left breast, rising and falling unevenly with her breath. The creature inhaled. Slow, deliberate. Its chest expanded as it tasted the air. Us. The fire cracked, sparks lifting into the dark. Shadows twisted around us. Phaelwyn tried to rise, her movement faltered. The beast stepped forward, one heavy paw sinking into the earth, testing, preparing. The forest pulled inward. Every sound collapsed around that single presence. The warmth of the fire vanished. All that remained was blood, breath, and the certainty that whatever stood before us had not come to chase. It had come to end something. The beast moved. Fast. Too fast for its size. The ground shook as it charged, claws carving trenches through soil and root alike. One swipe struck the log beside the fire. Wood burst apart, splinters flared, burned briefly, then died. I dove aside. Pain flared as I rolled, my shoulder protesting, my breath breaking unevenly. The creature did not slow. It corrected instantly, a mass of muscle and momentum that did not hesitate, did not test, did not doubt. Phaelwyn met it head-on. Steel rang against something that was not flesh. Her blade struck the creature's flank and slid. Sparks scattered. The fur did not part, did not bend. It was like striking layered bark reinforced with iron. She struck again and again, each blow precise, each one useless. The beast roared and backhanded her through the air. She hit the ground hard, skidding across dirt and stone, blood marking her path. I forced myself upright, vision narrowing, thoughts lagging behind motion. The beast roared and backhanded her through the air. She hit the ground hard, skidding across dirt and stone, blood marking her path. I forced myself upright, vision narrowing, thoughts lagging behind motion. There was no room, no terrain to exploit. The clearing was too small, the trees too close. The fire had become a liability,
shadows leaping with every movement. Running was not an option. Even if we tried, it would catch us, especially her. The creature lunged again. Failwyn barely rolled clear, its claws biting deep into the earth where her body had been. She came up on one knee, staggered, still fighting, still alive, but slowing. Blood darkened her armor, spreading with each breath. Her breathing was uneven, short on one side, shallow on the other. The beast drew back, preparing another charge. That was when my perception shifted. I stopped seeing it as a monster and began seeing it as a structure. Its power was undeniable, but rigid. Every attack committed fully. No feints, no corrections. Its shoulders locked forward when it struck, pouring all its mass into momentum. Devastating, inflexible. I shouted to Failwyn, not a warning, an instruction, that the creature could not turn mid-lunge, that it committed too much weight forward. She glanced at me, briefly, not trusting, not questioning, listening, because there was nothing else left. The beast charged again. Choice vanished. Failwyn moved, not retreating, angling herself just enough to draw its focus, letting it commit. At the last moment, she twisted aside. The beast overshot. Its massive frame lurched, balance broken for a fraction of a second. And there it was, a narrow seam where armor yielded to motion. Failwyn struck. Not hard. Precise. Steel slid into the joint beneath the shoulder, where force met function. The creature screamed, a sound wrong in shape and weight. It thrashed, trying to turn, trying to reach her, but its own mass betrayed it. She struck again, deeper. The beast collapsed with a heavy finality, claws tearing uselessly at the earth before falling still. Silence returned, heavy, sudden. I did not feel relief. I felt the aftermath. Failwyn staggered. Her blade slipped from her hand. One step, then another. She dropped to one knee. Blood flowed freely now, the wound torn wider by motion. Each breath shuddered through her, uneven and sharp. The fight was over. What followed would not be decided by strength or steel, only by time. The silence after the fight felt wrong. Too wide. Too empty. Failwyn sat slumped against a broken root, one arm pressed tight to her chest. Her color had drained, not pale with fear, but thinned, as if warmth itself were leaking out of her. Her breathing was uneven, short on one side, shallow on the other. Blood still slipped between her fingers, not pulsing, persisting. "You need to lie down," I said. She shook her head once. "No," she replied quietly. "If I do, I might not get back up." That told me everything. Before I moved, I paused. Not from doubt, from calculation. The wound opened and closed with her breath, pulled wider each time her ribs shifted. I had seen this pattern before, not in flesh, but in failure. A structure under stress, not collapsing from force, but from motion it was never meant to carry.
In this world, things did not break all at once. They failed when strain went unmanaged. If I could not close the wound, I could still change how it carried itself. Redistribute pressure, limit movement, reduce loss. Not healing, stabilization. Enough to matter, enough to buy time. Doing nothing was no longer an option. I crouched in front of her, keeping my movements slow, visible. "Failwyn," I said, choosing each word. "I can slow the bleeding, reduce the strain." Her eyes lifted to mine, clear, present. "But," I continued, "the position makes it complicated." She waited. "I'll need to touch you," I said, "closer than you might like." The forest seemed to hold still. Then she nodded. "Do what you need to do," she said. "Pain is already here." Awkwardness dismissed. When the torn leather fell away, I was aware of it immediately. The cut ran just beneath her left breast, following the curve of her ribs. Fresh, deep enough to be dangerous, shallow enough to lie. Her skin there. I wasn't prepared for it. It wasn't just smooth. It had a depth to it, like polished stone warmed by the sun, like light caught beneath water. Unmarred, unbroken, except where the wound had violated it. Even smeared with blood, it was beautiful. Not in a way that demanded attention, in a way that made attention unavoidable. I froze for a fraction of a second longer than I should have. The warmth of her skin under my fingers, the rise and fall of her breath, the curve of her body where anatomy met vulnerability. I forced myself to refocus. This wasn't desire. It was proximity. And proximity could lie. I let the observation pass. Not denied, not indulged. Set aside. What mattered now was structure, stability, time. "I'm going to apply pressure here," I said, "and change how you're sitting. Your ribs are pulling against the tear." She nodded, did not look away. I placed my hand carefully, supporting muscle and bone, redistributing tension the way I would with a damaged beam. Her breath hitched once, then steadied. I adjusted her posture by inches, not forcing, allowing the structure to carry itself again. The bleeding slowed, not stopped, but slowed enough to matter. I bound the wound tightly, anchoring it so movement would not reopen it. Failwyn sagged slightly as the pain eased, contained. "You think strangely," she murmured. "I don't think," I said softly. "I analyze." A faint smile touched her lips. "That may be worse." Her grip on my sleeve loosened, her breathing evened, shallow but regular. And then she slept. Right there. Bloodied, exhausted, alive. I remained where I was, hands hovering uselessly now, aware of how close I still sat. She would never know what I had noticed, what I had felt, what I had deliberately set aside. And I intended to keep it that way. The fire sank back to embers. The forest reclaimed its night. Phaelwyn slept. The wound was stable, for now. And I kept watch, guarding the narrow line between necessity and temptation, knowing I had crossed it and chosen to come back. I woke to cold, not the sharp kind, the empty kind. The fire had burned down to ash and blackened wood. No warmth, no sound except the forest breathing itself awake. For a moment, I thought I had slept through her death. Then I saw the armor. It lay where she had been the night before, carefully placed, not discarded. Leather folded, straps loosened, metal set aside with deliberate order. Phaelwyn was gone. I pushed myself upright too fast, pain flaring briefly before settling into its familiar place. My eyes traced the clearing, the tree line, the spaces between shadows. Nothing moved. No sign of struggle, no blood, no trail of urgency, just absence. And the armor. I stood there longer than I should have, until footsteps reached me from the trees. Light, unhurried. I turned. Phaelwyn emerged carrying a small bundle of plants. She wasn't wearing her armor. Instead, a thin old tunic, softened by age, cut for movement rather than modesty. It lay light across her frame, leaving her shoulders bare, her abdomen partially exposed. Practical, unadorned. The bandage around her chest was fresh now, tighter, cleaner, only faintly stained. She noticed me looking, didn't react. "I needed these," she said, as if she had only stepped away for water. "The kind that encourage closure, not recovery." "Closure?" I asked. She nodded. "They help wounds seal if the body has already chosen to live." That made sense. "I couldn't use them last night," she continued. "Too much movement, too much blood." She shifted the bundle in her hand. "Now they'll work." I exhaled slowly, tension loosening from a place I hadn't realized was locked. "You left your armor," I said. "Yes." "You're injured." "Yes." I waited. "If I wore it," she said calmly, "it would pull at the wound, reopen it." Logic, clear, still reckless. "You could have told me," I said. "I didn't want you to wake and insist on coming." That was fair. She knelt by the fire pit and began preparing the plants, crushing some, binding others with practiced ease. The movement tugged at the bandage. She winced, did not stop. "You shouldn't be moving," I said. She glanced up. "Neither should you." I had no answer. As she worked, I became aware of her presence. Not desire, form. Light along her shoulders. The contrast between wrapped injury and unmarked skin. Fragile and resilient at once. It unsettled me. Not because she was beautiful, but because she was wounded and still choosing function over comfort. "You're staring," she said. Not accusing, observing. "Analyzing," I replied. Her mouth twitched, barely. "Of course." She finished binding the herbs and secured them over the bandage, tightening the wrap with careful pressure. Her breathing stayed controlled. The bleeding did not return. She leaned back against the tree, exhaustion finally arriving. "This will hold," she said. "For how long?" She shrugged. "Long enough." That answer stayed with me. She rested with her eyes closed, not collapsing, but trusting the moment, trusting me to keep watch. I sat nearby, keeping distance, listening to her breath even out again. She didn't know what I had noticed, what I had interrupted, and I would not burden her with it. Some things were meant to remain unspoken, at least until they mattered. She didn't sleep long. Her breath shifted first. Then her fingers curled slightly against the earth. When her eyes opened, they were clear, the kind of clarity that comes from learning to wake before pain does. She tested her breath. Slow, measured. Her jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Then she sat up, careful, controlled. "You should rest longer," I said. She shook her head once. "Rest won't improve this." She adjusted the bandage, precise and practiced. The wound held, but only just. Her breath shortened when she leaned too far, pain catching and releasing like a warning. "We can't stay here," she said, not urgently, decisively. "There's a healer," she continued. "Not in the city. Too many eyes. Near an old road." She looked toward the trees, already measuring distance. "She doesn't take everyone," she added, "and she doesn't hurry." That told me enough. "How far?" "Half a day, if we're careful. A full one, if we aren't." Silence settled. Not uncertainty. Wait. "I can walk," she said before I asked. "Slowly." I nodded. No argument. She watched my reaction anyway. "I won't wear the armor," she added. "I know." That surprised her, just a little. She reached for the armor, then stopped, left it where it lay. Instead, she reached for a thin outer garment. Insufficient. I stood, removed my jacket and held it out. She looked at it, then at me, then took it. She slipped it on carefully, testing the weight, how it settled. It wasn't made for her, but it closed the air, held warmth without pulling at the wound. She flexed once. "Strange," she said. "How so?" "It's not armor," she replied, "but it resists the world more than cloth should." I didn't explain. She adjusted it once more. "That will do." She rose slowly, steadying herself until balance returned. When she stood on her own, she didn't look at me. "We leave now," she said, "before the pain decides for me." I stepped aside. She took the lead. And just like that, the stillness ended, not with urgency, but with direction. We moved once the light had fully settled into the forest. Phaelwyn set the pace. Not fast, not slow, deliberate. She chose paths that curved instead of cutting straight through, ground that held rather than challenged. When the terrain sloped, she angled away. When roots crowded the soil, she stepped wide. I noticed she never looked back. She didn't need to. After some distance, she spoke. "The road we're heading toward isn't used much anymore," she said. "That's why the healer chose it." I nodded. "People avoid places that don't promise comfort," she continued. "They come only when they have no better option." That was the trigger. "So this is normal?" I asked. She glanced sideways, briefly. "What is?" "Running into things that want to kill you," I said. "Every time you stop long enough to breathe." She didn't answer right away. We walked a few more steps. Leaves shifted underfoot. Birds scattered ahead of us. "When I first left the inner woods," Phaelwyn said at last, "I lost 3 companions in the span of a season." I looked at her then. She wasn't looking at me. "Not all at once," she added. "That would have been easier to understand." I swallowed. "My first day here," I said carefully, "I was chased by something I didn't know how to fight. That night, a city smiled at me while deciding how to use me. This morning, a beast nearly killed you." I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. "I don't even know what counts as a quiet day in this world." Phaelwyn stopped. Not abruptly. She turned and faced me fully. "A quiet day," she said, "is one where nothing surprises you." I frowned. "That doesn't sound reassuring." "It isn't," she replied, "but it becomes familiar." She adjusted the jacket at her shoulders, the fabric shifting softly. "This forest," she continued, "is not especially dangerous. It's just alive. Things hunt. Things are hunted. Sometimes you cross the wrong path at the wrong time." "And cities?" I asked. Her mouth tightened slightly. "Cities hide it better," she said. I let out a short, humorless breath. She studied my face for a moment longer. "You're not afraid of dying," she said. "I am," I replied. "No," she corrected. "You're afraid of not knowing what will try to kill you next." The words settled uncomfortably close to the truth. She turned and resumed walking. "That fear fades," she said, "not because the world becomes safer, but because you stop expecting it to wait its turn." I followed. We walked in silence again, but it felt different now. Not heavier, just clearer. By midday, the forest began to thin. The ground changed first, less wild, more worn. Stones appeared where they hadn't before, not a road, just the memory of one. Phaelwyn slowed. "There," she said. Ahead, tucked against a low rise of earth and stone, stood a small structure. Not a house, something older. Wood darkened by years of smoke. Stone stacked for endurance, not symmetry. A roof sloped low, heavy with age and moss. Smoke drifted from a narrow vent. Thin, steady, alive. "This is it?" I asked quietly. She nodded. "She doesn't like noise," Phaelwyn said, "or haste." I looked at the place again. It didn't welcome. It didn't warn. It simply existed, waiting to see if we were worth the trouble. Phaelwyn took a breath, adjusted her stance, then stepped forward. The door opened before Phalwyn could knock. Not wide, just enough. A woman stood in the gap, shorter than Phalwyn, older by decades. Her back bent slightly forward, as if the world had spent years leaning its weight against her. Her hair was gray and bound tight. Her eyes were sharp. They went straight to the bandage beneath Phalwyn's chest, then narrowed. "You're late," the woman said. Phalwyn inclined her head. "I know." The healer opened the door fully and stepped aside. "Inside," she said, slowly. Phalwyn moved without argument. As she crossed the threshold, the healer's gaze flicked to me. It paused, measured, then dismissed. "You," she said flatly. "Stay out." I didn't move. Not in defiance, in confirmation. "This isn't a request," she added, "and it isn't personal." Phalwyn stopped just inside the doorway. "He's the one who stopped the bleeding," she said. "No magic, no tools from this place." The healer grunted. "That explains why you're still walking," she muttered. She turned back to Phalwyn. Her tone left no room for discussion. "Sit. Jacket off. Slowly." Phalwyn complied. I stepped forward without thinking, and the healer's eyes snapped back to me. "One more step," she said, "and you leave the property." That was enough. I stopped. Phalwyn didn't look back. She met my eyes once, brief, steady. "Wait," she said. Just that. The door closed between us. Not slammed, not locked. Final. I stood there, listening. Inside, water poured. Metal was set down. Cloth tore. Phalwyn spoke once, short, controlled. Then nothing. Time stretched. I sat on a low stone near the wall, hands resting uselessly against my knees, staring at the ground as if minutes could be measured by shifting shadows. There was nothing I could do. Not analyze, not stabilize, not help. My presence served no purpose here, and that absence cut deeper than any blade. I closed my eyes. The house breathed around the pane. Smoke curled lazily from the vent above. Birds resumed their calls, uncaring. Whatever happened inside, the world did not pause to witness it. And all I could do was sit outside the door, waiting, learning what it meant to place something vital into hands that were not my own.